Hello, hello. Welcome to Find Your Whys. If you feel disconnected, overcommitted, or like you're doing something wrong or something is missing, it's maybe because you're doing things for the wrong reason. And that really comes when you are disconnected with your values. I'm Yndhira, your leadership coach.
And I'm Yvonne. I'm a financial coach. So today we're going to be diving into something very foundational, but it's so often overlooked. It's living through your values. And it's not just knowing what your values are, but actually living them by making your decisions, setting your boundaries, and showing up in every day in alignment with what matters most to you.
Yeah, this episode for anyone who ever said, "Oh, I feel I'm missing something. I feel off. I don't know why, or I want more meaning in my life." That feeling usually comes from living out of alignment with your values.
Exactly. So let's just go ahead and jump in and dive a little bit deeper. Values aren't just the nice words that we use when we talk about like family, trust, or freedom. Okay. Values are those deeply held beliefs that shape your whole identity. It's what motivates you, and it even is part of your emotional state.
Exactly. Sometimes, in fact, we inherit that from our family, culture, religion. But as an adult, it's our responsibility to get clear on what truly matters to us. And in fact, values drive our behavior more than goals do. You can accomplish, for example, goals and still feel unfulfilled. And that is when it was not aligned with our why.
I know, it's crazy. It's something that seems so simple, but let's go ahead and make this real. So imagine somebody says that they really value their health, but they are regularly skipping meals or sleeping only a few hours a night, and they never move their body. Or, of course, going the financial route. I'm a financial coach. This is what I relate to. Somebody who says that they value their financial security, but they keep making impulse purchases or they never stick to their budget. Their behavior is working against the very things that they say that matter to them. And the emotional tension that they're feeling, well, that's their body and their mind reacting to the values being misaligned with their actions.
Yes. That's exactly what happened to me, because last week I was talking about my health and how I was able to align. The thing is that I was acknowledging that health was an important value until I did a value exercise, and that gave me clarity and direction. Because when your values and your actions are out of sync, it creates burnout, confusion, and even resentment. Yes. But when they're aligned, you feel integrated. You feel that you stop chasing fulfillment and you start living fulfillment.
Exactly. So I want to go ahead and give everybody a few signs that you're not living through your values, because it can really sneak up on us until we're feeling it hard. So here's some clues that you can look for. If you're constantly feeling overwhelmed, but you don't know why, and it's not just because you're busy, or you're doing all the right things, but it still doesn't feel right. Another one is that I'm really familiar with this one, is that you feel disconnected from yourself, like you're on autopilot. I have been there, so I get that.
Yeah. I remember, for example, me saying yes to every client opportunity, and I feel that even client that didn't energize me. And it took a quiet moment of reflection when I asked myself, why am I doing this? And the answer was fear of missing out, or even feeling fear of not being enough. And that was a wake-up call for me to understand that I was valuing security over alignment.
Absolutely. And I think most entrepreneurs can actually relate to that. So here's something really powerful that you can think about, and it's actually a really great journal prompt. Ask yourself, what parts of my life feel draining and what values are being neglected there in that area? And when you answer yourself honestly, and that's the hardest part to do, you're probably going to see some patterns emerge. And maybe it's not that you're tired from work, like we all think we are, but maybe it's you're tired because your work isn't aligned with your purpose.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Yeah, sometimes we don't look at those things. Right. But let's move on to the how. You might be wondering, okay, I'm out of alignment. Now what? So here's the process that we recommend. The first thing is identify your core values. Not 10, just 3 to 5 values. That's more than enough to help you guide your life. And as I mentioned, as a coach, is something that we can help you with that. But another way that you can do it is that look at your pain points. Often what frustrates you the most is really because it's misaligned with your values. I can give you an example. This organization drives me crazy.
Your sons will tell you that it does.
It's because I value structure and clarity. But in my DISC assessment, I'm CD. So what do you expect? Yeah,
Exactly.
it makes sense.
Yeah. And another thing you can do is you have to actually define what that value looks like in real life. For example, if you say you value freedom, especially because a lot of people, including myself, said that when they want to start a business.
Yeah.
Okay, you value freedom. What does that mean? Is it your autonomy, creative control, emotional expression? For me, it was all of that. Values without definition are not going to lead you into action.
There's a really good one. Another step that you can take is audit your life. For example, you can look at your calendar, your bank account, your energy, and ask yourself, are my values reflected on here? You can use category like time, relationship, work, and health. Let's say, for example, you are assessing your time and you say that you value your family, but your work takes 90% of your time. On it. So what are you, and maybe that will cause you to feel tension and overwhelm. So that's the process that you can start doing and asking yourself, am I really living that value, or where am I not living that value? Or does this decision reflect my value or reflect my fears? So you can, with your audit, you can start asking those questions and start reflecting and really see if you really directing to the values that you think.
Yeah. Well, that's where the next step comes in, and it actually follows directly. And that is to have courageous alignment. Sometimes living your values requires difficult choices.
Yep.
We're all going, okay, I get it, been there. That means saying no. That means setting boundaries, or the hardest one for me, at least, was leaving situations that didn't match your values. Because the cost of staying misaligned is way higher than the discomfort of the change. I can relate to this because I actually worked for a company that I was completely misaligned with, and they were misaligned with me. My values, everything. It was all kinds of things. And I had to decide to stick with a really good, regular, steady paycheck or take a chance at something better. And ultimately, leaving that job was the catalyst that led me into coaching. It was really scary in the interim.
Yes, I can relate to that too. In fact, I was reading a book from Brody. I started reading this weekend, and there was a phrase that they say that really got my attention. The author said, "Your new life will cost you your old life," and that is exactly reflects with the courageous alignment that you did. You were ready to focus on a new life, so. It's important that we reflect on that and also think about that you don't have to flip your whole life overnight.
No.
In fact, it's better if you start small. One alignment choice a day. Say no to something that doesn't honor your values, or say yes to things that does. But most importantly, give yourself grace.
Yes.
Living through values is practice, not performance.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And living through your values it's not just a feel-good concept. It's an actual framework that you're putting together for the peace in your life, for your purpose, and to have sustainable success.
Correct. And like I just mentioned, it's practice, not perfection.
Exactly.
You won't always get it right, but the more you return to your values, the more grounded and fulfilled you will feel.
Exactly. So I want to leave you with this. Your values are your internal GPS. So stop following everyone else's map.
Oh my gosh, Jess. And remember, if this resonates with you, share it with someone you love. And take a few minutes today and ask yourself, am I living through my values, or are just surviving through my habits?
Good thoughts. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. This was Find Your Whys. Go ahead and like and share and comment and all the things. Get us in the algorithm. We'll see you next time.
See you next time. Bye-bye.